what he can do. Because God is with him. The things that he does is because of the strength that God gives him. Because of the boldness that God gives him. Now go all the way down. Go all the way down to where in the 10th verse, you got an evil spirit from God coming upon Saul. Now David done slew the giant, but he done switch roles now. Now David's played with his hands. Why? Because of the evil spirit. Every time the evil spirit came upon Saul, David would play his harp, his stringed instrument. That's why I tell the instrumentalists, the musicians, that they have ministry as well on the inside of them. David played the harp. That's a stringed instrument. The anointing can flow from an instrument and can cause bad spirits to come out, evil spirits to leave people because of the anointing that God has placed on those musicians, placed on their hands, placed on them when they play the instrument. But David, he played that harp. But in Saul's heart, he hated David. He hated David, but guess what? David held no grudge, no malice in his heart against Saul. How can you still honor someone who you know don't like you, who you know is after your life? He honored him because God had anointed him as king. He honored the anointing that was on Saul's life. The anointing that came from God. He respected him because God anointed him. You know, some people in the church, they may be anointed of God. God may have anointed them for a certain purpose. God may have told them that they are this and they have that, or the people chose them to be this and that, and God allowed it. And they became God's anointed for a certain task, for a certain position, for a certain thing within the church. But they lost their way. And they just don't like you. They don't like it because God is with you. They don't like it because God is with you. Now, I know some people say, well, didn't you say that the last time? Sometimes people need a recap. They need for you to say it again. They need for it to be said again for them to truly get what the word is saying. That yes, you're going to have some people in church and you say, well, they not anointed. They may have been anointed. God's spirit may have gone from them. But you still respect them. David still respected Saul because God did anoint him. You may have a pastor who is detoured from the way, but you still don't talk against or about him. Let God deal with that. Let God deal with that. You still pray for him. You still give him over into the hands of the good Lord. And you allow God to show and tell you what to do. Because God may change him. His heart may change. A turnabout may come about in his life. But if God tells you to move on, then you must move on. You must do the will of the Father. Everything that you do must be ran by God. You must go to God and ask him, what is my next step? What must I do? That way you won't make a misstep and it won't be a mishap. So David still honored Saul, even though he threw the javelin at him. It said, David played with his hand as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. The 11th verse says, and Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it, and David avoided out of his presence. What? Twice. Twice. This man has tried to take David's life. This king has tried to take David's life. But Jonathan proves that he is a true friend to David. He proves that he is a true friend to David. Because Saul is continuing in trying to take David's life. Why? Because he sees that God is with him. And let me remind you that he is small in stature. He's young. He's a young boy. He's been anointed to be king, to take Saul's place. Saul does not know this, but Saul can only see what? That God is with David. And God is not with him. Because Samuel has already told him, because of his disobedience, it has repented God that he even made him king. He's rejected him as king. Now it's a waiting game. What's going to happen next? Samuel has told him, God has rejected you as king. And you remember, he was crying all night long. But Saul wants to kill David so bad to where he orders his soldiers, his servants, to bring David to him in a bed so that he could kill him. It says that the 22nd verse of the 18th chapter, it says, and Saul commanded his servants, saying, commune with David secretly and say, behold, the king hath delight in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servants spake those words. See, he was going to give him his daughter to wife. He was going to become a son-in-law. See, a son-in-law. Let me bring him close into the family. Right? Behold, the king hath delight in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servants spake those words in the ears of David. And David said, seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and lightly esteemed? He said, I'm nothing. How is it that this king wants me to become his son-in-law? But see, he had a hidden agenda. Watch these people that try to bring you prizes, that try to pay you off, give you a little of this and give you a little of that, and promise you this and promise you that, and try to draw you in, when all the time they don't like you. All the time they'll throw you under a bus. All the time. They don't want you to prosper. They just want you to do what they want you to do when they want you to do it. They call that the spirit of Jezebel, a controlling spirit. They want you to do what they want you to do when they want you to do it. King Saul had an evil spirit on him. He had jealousy. He had envy in his heart. He was holding grudges against David. And he wanted to control David's destiny. He wanted to kill him because of the anointing that was on David's life. But we're talking about an unbreakable bond here. But I'm getting to the part of Jonathan. But you got to understand that sometimes people don't want you to prosper, and they will sit up there and try to give you a prize to draw you in closer so that they can control you. There's a certain saying that all money ain't good money. Everything that glitter ain't gold. It's not. Beware when people bring you gifts. You got to try the spirit by the spirit and see that whether or not it be of God. It says, and the servants of Saul told him, saying, on this manner spake David. And Saul said, thus shall ye say to David, the king desireth not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. Now, David he slew the lion and the bear. He killed the giant Goliath with one smooth stone. He chopped his head off, brought it back to Saul. And they went after the Philistines and they killed the Philistines. They came back in victory. And they said what? David killed his 10,000. Saul killed 1,000, but David did what? David his 10,000s. And these were what? Philistines. So here it is. He wanted to send them out to be killed by the Philistines. Why? Because surely God is with him. He must be sending him to take my place or something. He thinking things in his heart now. He trying to stamp out David so that he won't take his place. Because he knew that God had left him and was with David. And he was jealous of David. He was scared and fearful of David. Love covers a multitude of sin. Where's your love? You see, David, though he was afraid for his life, he still honored Saul. He still was there for Saul. He still served under Saul. He still did that. It says that, but Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David. Now that's how David was a man after God's own heart. No matter how many times Saul tried to take his life, and even though it was plenty of opportunity for him to kill Saul, he didn't do it. Though pastors may have come up against you, though leaders may have talked against you in their chambers, though I'm talking about leaders may have talked against you, talked about you, talked down about you, gossiped about you, yet they call themselves leaders. But they may have put your name in the room, blackballed you, talked against you to other people, gossiped about you under the table, all of that. But still honor them as a leader. And love them with the love of Jesus. My God. The love test, right? To love them even though you know they hate you. To love them even though you know they're against you. You said God has told you. They don't believe God has told you anything. Why? Because they want you to stay under their finger, their thumb, their leadership, their rulership. When we should be under God's rulership. Because Jesus is the head of the church. Jesus is the head of the church. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. So he took the bait. David took the bait, wherefore David arose and went. he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them. See, somebody tell you